Hello and welcome to the Inspire Life podcast. My name is Michael. I am your producer and co-host, and today I'm really excited to bring you an interview that I did with Jennifer Ally Kern about her new book, The Drama-Free Way. The book was just released last week, mid-December 2020, for whenever you're tuning into this episode, and it's actually the second edition of her original book, The Drama-Free Way. Now, in the book, Jennifer takes us on a journey to understand what drama is and how it shows up in our life, and how we can lead ourselves to live a more aligned and thriving life while escaping drama in the process. We talked about different concepts from the book and kind of go deep this episode about how we can really tune drama out and find a space of being more aligned for all of us as we progress into 2021. So, really excited to bring you this interview, but before we jump in, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. This episode of the Inspire Life podcast is brought to you by Inspire Health Coaching, helping busy professionals overcome food addiction to reclaim their energy and optimize their lives. Our holistic approach to coaching will help you find new realities of peace and ease in meals, movement, and mindset. Through creating a wellness vision, long-term goals, and weekly experiments, you'll find yourself creating a new life, all with the support and accountability of a trusted coach who has been through it. If you want to learn more about what we do, how we work with people to accomplish their health and wellness goals, or to set up your initial consultation, text us at 651-500-8162. Or, if you have ideas for the podcast or blog, know someone who might be an awesome guest, or even just if you want to connect more with someone who has been there, don't hesitate to text or email us at michael@coachkrug.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. Welcome to the Inspire Life podcast. My name is Michael. I am your producer and co-host, and today I'm really excited to have Jennifer Ally Kern here today. It's actually her second time being a guest on the Inspire Life podcast, and I'm really excited. She is releasing a new version of her book, The Drama-Free Way. I was able to get a sneak preview of the first 3 chapters, and I absolutely love it. I'm looking forward to ordering the full version when it's available. And Jennifer has been a guide for so many people when it comes to really, managing and navigating their energetics, spiritual awakening. There's so many different things that you've helped people accomplish here on this plane and this existence. And, thank you in advance for all of that. And Jennifer, if you want to take it away, anything else that you want our listeners to know, go ahead.
Hi, Michael. Well, first of all, I'm just really excited, really happy to be here. Thank you for having me back. It's so much fun to have a conversation with you because the last time I was on the Inspire Life podcast, I got to do that with Dr. Mal. And so it's fun to be here and have the conversation with you. And when I say here, right now, I am geographically in Minneapolis. I'm from here originally, but I'm currently living in West Palm Beach, Florida. And with this 10-degree weather this morning, I'm looking forward to getting back to the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. You should take us with you. That would be nice to go down and visit.
You have an open invitation, Michael.
Awesome. I can't wait. We'll just pack up the Subaru and head on down. So we are talking today about your book, The Drama-Free Way, which, like I said, I was able to check out the first 3 chapters, and it hit me, I guess, right in the heart, right? Like I felt it, what you were saying. And, I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience within the book. And before I started reading, I wasn't necessarily sure. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this concept of drama. And it's actually an acronym, and it stands for, before we get into what it stands for, it's really things that people are experiencing, ways that they're living their lives that are not serving their higher energy, that is really draining their vital life force. And what drama is, and you really lay it out well in the book and different ways that we see it show up, but disempowering, reactive, assumption-based, maladaptive, and addictive, behaviors and energies that people are finding themselves in cycles of perpetuating themselves and of looking for in other people. And I feel like in 2020, we've seen maybe the pinnacle peak of all of these different drama energies. So, before we delve into those, is there anything, you have witnessed this year that made you want to consider revamping the book and sending it out? what was your thought process, I guess maybe initially or now with the new version coming out?
Yeah, good question. So just to give the context for your listeners, this book was originally written in 2014 and 2015. The first publication was a 2016 publication. And at that time, I was really coming to the point in my own life of recognizing how much drama was part of my life and how I really had to take responsibility for it. And then, I knew it's not just me. I know a lot of people experience, a drama that is really life sucking rather than life giving. And but you hear all the time, people are thriving off drama. Well, that's not really thriving. And when I came across the different components of how to think about energy, how to think about our thought patterns, how to recognize that we are the ones attracting things into our lives, and that there is a universality to the underlying components of drama, that's when I knew I had to write the book. Once all of these pieces, a lot of what you read in the first 3 chapters, Michael, when those things clicked for me, I realized I have to write this book. And I remember thinking, somebody's going to write a book about drama. And no one's going to do it in the way that I'm going to do it. And there actually are other books about drama out there, and I haven't read all of them, but I'm sure they're wonderful. But I just knew that I had to bring this out. And then to do a revised edition in 2020, to be honest, it's something that I had contemplated for a couple years now. And to be really frank, the original impetus for doing a revised edition is because when I wrote the first edition, I was married. And the first edition was actually published under the name Jennifer Kern Collins. Well, and a few years ago, I got unmarried. So I thought, well, let me do the revised edition under my official name, which is now Jennifer Ally Kern. And but then as we were coming into 2020 and I was doing the revision, I realized that there's actually a different story to tell. There's actually a different way to set the stage for understanding what drama is and why it's so important for us to address it at this time. And so that's why most of the revision is actually in the introduction, which is calling people to a level of awareness about the way they play a role in drama in their own lives, because everybody thinks drama's about somebody else. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, Michael, so I tell people, I wrote this book, The Drama Freeway. Oh my God, my mother needs to read that book. Oh, my sister should have that book. Oh, I got a girlfriend who needs it. And nobody's like, wow, I need that book.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you bring up a great point that, and, I think you mentioned it. I think it's in the second chapter. You say, we cannot treat others better than we treat ourselves. And I kind of, with what you just shared, we cannot put the blame or an external, I guess, source for external responsibility for a lot of the drama that we are experiencing with our lives and internally, right? It's really, like you said, helping people wake up to the fact that the way that we live, the way that we expend our energy, the things that we expend our energy on is likely contributing to a lot of the negative effects and things that we are experiencing. And, in the context of 2020, it probably feels amplified and magnified for many, many people. So I think it's very timely that you're releasing the second edition now. And I thank you for putting all your work into doing that. One thing that I actually wanted to talk about too, that I thought was really interesting, and I'd be willing to share more about my story, but you talk about the 3 core human wounds. And I mean, when I was reading that, it was in chapter 2 when you're talking about that. When I was reading through that, I initially, for listeners, Jennifer talks about the 3 core human wounds being shame, abandonment, and betrayal. And these are things that we can experience really at any age, but a lot of times when we experience them at a younger age, it can influence the way that we perceive the world around us. It can influence the way that we experience those drama energies. It can influence the way that we are in our relationships, that we show up in different ways in life. So I initially thought that maybe abandonment was what I was experiencing because, my parents got divorced at a young age, and that was the thing that I initially thought it might be. But then after reading through, I feel like it's actually shame for me, not feeling like I'm good enough, or not feeling really ready, I guess, to step into my own. And it really just, I really appreciate too that with each chapter you have, like at the end, there's questions to work through to help the readers really understand how is this showing up, and how can I properly and salutogenically, like in a really proactive way, address these things. So I just wanted to touch on that too, because that was a big eye opener for me personally. And I think for anyone else who reads the book too, they'll find that chapter really, really fascinating.
Yeah, that really is the foundation of all drama, is the fact that as human beings, we're tribal creatures. And you're born into or start life at some point in a tribe. And the way that tribes keep members adhering to the tribe is through different kinds of behaviors. Some of them are emotionally, mentally, physically punitive in nature, and that's what's going to create those wounds of shame, abandonment, and betrayal. Mm-hmm. And so here's the thing too to say, Michael, is everybody has all three wounds. Mm-hmm. We all have all of them. Most of us have one that's particularly dominant. And then, like you're saying, these wounds now set the stage and the foundation for how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we view the world. And that starts to, because these are emotional wounds, and as babies, we feel emotions before we have logical thought, these wounds then actually contribute to how we develop our thought patterns. Mm-hmm. And how we think about ourselves, how we think about others, and really our foundational beliefs. So you mentioned the perfect one with shame. It's I'm not enough. That's the foundational belief that goes with shame. With abandonment, it's I don't matter. And with betrayal, the foundational belief is the world can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. And you can see how if you would just have these three beliefs, running in the background underneath all of your thought patterns, not all of your thought patterns, because we have good thought patterns too, but all of the ones that contribute to drama, you can see how that's going to set a foundation for how we interact with others and, again, how we think about ourselves.
I thank you, for sharing that too. And one thing that I loved about, reading the first part of the book is that you are really good about offering, I wouldn't say solutions, but offering different perspectives on if we recognize that these are, the wounds or the beliefs and the things that we are telling ourselves and that we've, grown into believing about ourselves, that you come back and say, the way to address, for example, shame and to move into a healing state around shame is to have honor yourself and honor your commitments and honor schedule, whatever it may be. You talk about abandonment, and the way to heal abandonment is to have commitment, whether that's to yourself, whether it's to your partner, and it's to what you're doing. Having commitment is a way to really, I guess, flip the script on that and really empower yourself going forward. And then finally, with betrayal, loyalty is the way, right? So it's like the old adage, like kill them with kindness. It's, if you have this real belief that everyone out there is against you and that the world is just an unfair place, well, if you start to really show up in a way where you're being loyal, you are showing up for yourself and others in a way and being there for them, that's the way to shift it. It's not to try and remove the betrayal feeling or to remove the abandoned feeling or to remove the shame. It's to step into, the opposing energy force of those kind of states of being, those states of consciousness. So I really like how you tied that all together.
Yeah, well said, Michael. One thing I should say too for your listeners is that the original source of research for the three core human wounds and those healing fields, those healing energetic fields, is a book called The Mind-Body Code by Dr. Mario Martinez. He did all of the foundational research for this. And when I came across that, it was presented to me in a training that I went to. That's when it clicked like, whoa, this is like the source of all drama. And so that's why I wanted to have that as the foundation. And understanding that self-honoring or honoring in relationships, again, commitment and loyalty, these are ways to be healing those wounds. And certainly that's going to, vastly diminish the amount of drama that you experience in your life. But the other thing too is that, this is important to mention, the drama is a chaotic state. It's a state of separation from ourselves. And so the real sort of like antidote to drama is something called inner alignment, which is when we're really in that space of honoring ourselves, but really tuned into ourselves, really listening to what the self wants, what the self needs. What is your self calling you to right now? What is your self asking you to move away from or let go of in your life? Because the more that you can follow what that inner voice is calling you to, the less drama you're going to have.
It's very true. And I think even now, possibly more than ever, there are so many different messages and things out there that are influencing our energies. So, like you said, really being able to tap back into our own internal voice, to get aligned internally. I don't know if this is true, but it might be more important now than it ever has been, with everything that 2020 has brought. So I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I think it's more important now than ever. And partly because there's so much stimulation, there's so much chaos in the collective space that really your only access point to a sense of peace and calm is that inner alignment with yourself, right? Because I don't think the outside world is dishing that out a whole bunch right now. And the more people who can come into that space of self-honoring and inner alignment, the more it actually impacts the collective and sort of starts to dial down the drama and amp up a higher vibrational state.
Absolutely. We are beings of energy and light. And when we are able to tap in internally, that reverberates into the external world around us. And that's really what it comes. That's what it's all about. I mean, with Dr. Mel and I, with our philosophy on health, it's really going internal to help not only yourself, but also your families, your communities, and society as a whole. And that's why, I mean, we love working with you, Jennifer, and everything that you stand for. It's so in line with us. And I just, it's an honor to be interviewing you right now about this. I do want to ask too, maybe from personal experience, if we have a listener who really right now, if they're really just in a space where they're feeling disconnected internally, they're feeling disconnected externally, they really, drama is taking over their life. Do you have any sort of advice or, words of wisdom for them, or anywhere maybe they should start if they want to lead a more thriving life and really escape the drama?
Yeah, that's a good question, Michael. I think the simple but not always easy answer is just to start listening to yourself. Really listening to, what are you calling for? What is your body calling for? What does your body need right now? What is your body telling you? What do you need emotionally right now? And how can you give that to yourself? Do you need some soothing? Do you need some uplifting self-talk? Do you need some connection with somebody else, with another person? I mean, really, in a lot of ways, it comes back to basics. But the main thing is to follow, we say this again, very simply put, follow what feels good to you. What will feel good to you right now? And I got to tell you, Michael, when the first edition of the book came out, I got interviewed on a TV show. And when I said, follow what feels good to you, the interviewer was like, well, what if what feels good to you means taking a shot of heroin? And I thought, wow. Yeah, like, well, I mean, fair enough, but I think it's pretty clear that's not what we're talking about here. At least I don't know.
Yeah.
So no, we're not talking about, go get drunk or zone out. It's really about coming back to yourself, because the whole problem there is a sense of separation.
Yeah.
Separation from ourselves. And so when you come back and just start listening, what would I like right now? What will feel good to me right now? Just to start asking that question, right? What is my soul calling me to right now? Just start asking, and it's important to ask the question, not to try to push yourself into something. We'll just go for a walk. We'll just go do this, right? Because the brain can reject mandates. but it doesn't as easily reject questions. So when you ask it questions, you invite it into a space of openness to find a new answer that is going to take you down a pathway that is going to put you into a space that's more aligned and more resonant with the truth of who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always going to feel good. So that begins to open up that pathway out of the drama and the chaos.
That's a powerful message, and I think a deeper level to what I'm hearing too is, especially with the way that our culture approaches work life and home life and everything nowadays, sometimes we need to slow down too. That's a that's something that you mentioned, is that I can't remember where it was in the book, but so often it's like, we have to try and get things done. It was you were talking about working with a former client and how she would come home and has to get everything done, has to get everything done, have to do this and this and this, and it was wearing on not only her but her family. And if we can just slow down and really tap into what's really important right now, like when I get from home from work, is it that important for me to sweep the floors and do all the laundry and stuff, or is it important for me to just go connect with my partner, go connect with my kids? And that is all about just slowing down and recognizing that we are in a certain moment, and there may be quote unquote things to do, but what should be the priority? Is it the tasks that can get done whenever they get done, or is it really just connecting with those people, which helps you connect internally as well? So that was what you just said, reminded me of that part of the book, is really just slowing down and being present.
Yeah, that's so good that you brought that up, Michael, because it's making me think about what's happened in 2020 and likely what we're moving into in 2021 is shaking things up. And that means that the usual routines and the usual way of living, it isn't there anymore. And when you've been relying on that for a sense of stability and a sense of homeostasis and predictability in your life, and now that's not there, you have to adapt. And so I think what part of what's happening, what humanity is being called into right now, is having more agility. There's a concept that I like to bring into the inner alignment work that I do, and it's called vibrational agility. It's not in the Drama Free Way book, but it's something that I've been working with since I wrote that. But there's this way of being agile with whatever's presenting itself in our lives. And so cultivating that awareness of how do I feel right now? What am I being called to right now? What is this moment meant for? That having that level of awareness, I think, is what everybody's being called into, because it's not the same game that we had before. And when we can have more of that, now we're alive. Mm-hmm. Now we're present to the soul within that's having this wild human experience and the ways that it's able to grow, contribute, connect with others, be in a state of joy and positivity. And when we're adhered to too much routine, we miss a lot of that because we just kind of get robotic and go through the motions. But we can't play that way anymore. It's like moment by moment for most of us these days. And so being able to cultivate that level of awareness of, where am I right now? And what do I need? And what's the environment around me calling to? Maybe I'm good and I'm cool and balanced, but someone in my immediate vicinity needs some care and attention. Well, let me tend to that. And so it's this way of being really able to surf the waves of all of the fluctuations that we're being met with these days.
Yeah, that's a huge point. And you talk about it with drama, right? That maladaptive, that being unable to adapt and change with situations, or even it comes out as behaviors. You mentioned like temper tantrums, frozen identities. So kind of living in an experience from the past and not really stepping into a new role. Like you said, getting stuck in a routine that, maybe it feels comfortable, but you're not growing at all. Being unable to cope, being very defensive and using defense mechanisms, right? So recognizing those things. And like you said, not only in yourself, but if there's others within their space who you can share your energy with, if you are in an adaptive and open and thriving kind of aligned space, That's huge because I mean, Dr. Mel says it all the time too, and we both kind of live by the mantra, adapt or die. It's, maybe it doesn't, maybe it sounds a little extreme, but that's especially with everything that's happened in the last, 12 months. You need to continue to be adaptable to whether it's in business, whether it's with family. We must adapt. Otherwise, we are going to get stagnant and fall into that drama energy. So I thank you for going in depth on that as well.
Yeah, I love that. Adapt or die.
Yeah.
It sounds so dramatic, but it's so true. And it's so funny. I love that you brought that up. And, Dr. Mel and I have had many conversations about how the work that I do around inner alignment as the antidote to drama and chaos, it so matches the work that the two of you do at Inspire Life, with helping people find that energetic alignment literally in the physical body. And I work with people on cultivating that in their human and soul system. But this idea of adapt or die, I think we're at that point right now, Michael. I think in humanity in general, because one thing that we learned with 2020 is that the earth doesn't need us.
Very true.
The earth does not need us. In fact, she was doing awesome when we all shut our doors and stayed inside for a hot minute. And so right now, humanity needs to adapt. And the survival of the fittest now are those who are not necessarily adapting their physical environment, although obviously we are with COVID-19, but the survival of the fittest are the ones who can adapt their thoughts and emotions to carry a higher vibrational state, to empower themselves and the others to really authentically thrive.
That's powerful. And for everyone, to hear that again, it's really being adaptable on all areas of our being, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, being able to recognize changes that need to occur and in the time frame, and then executing. It's important. I do have a lot of hope and faith for all of us as humanity, because we have awesome leaders and thought leaders like you who are producing amazing things like the Drama Free Way. And for our listeners, if any of this, if it intrigued you, well, I guess I have two questions left. One, Jennifer, and I know you've listened to the podcast, so I always ask before we end the episode, because we're coming up on the end here, what is the one thing, one takeaway that you would give for our audience? And then if you want to just go right into how they can get in touch with you as well.
I think the main takeaway is don't give your energy away. Your energy is your domain, and your energy is more than just your physical energy. It's your mental energy, your emotional energy, and your spiritual energy. And the minute that you sort of succumb to the drama in the world around us, you've given your energy and your essential power away. And remember that that's your domain. That's your world. That's your kingdom or your queendom. And you have full authority over that. And when each person is taking charge of their own energy and finding ways to stay in a high vibrational state, to stay in a place of feeling good, regardless of what's happening around us, regardless of the chaos, then man, what a different world we're co-creating together. Mm-hmm. So that was the takeaway that I have for you. And to connect with me, you can go to JeniferAlly.com, and it's Ally, A-L-L-Y, like ally, your ally in alignment. So JeniferAlly.com. You can also go to DramaFreeWay.com, and that'll give you the information about the book. In fact, at this time, at the time of our recording, listeners can actually go and download those first 3 chapters of the book for free. And with that, they'll also receive a free mini course on authentic thriving. And they're just short 5 or 6 minute videos that will come to your inbox over the course of a month. So that doesn't overwhelm you all at once, but just something to continue to give you more of these concepts and awareness so that you can really find ways that work for you to be authentically thriving in your life.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I will put all the information, your website, in the show notes, as well as when your book can we pick it up now? It's going to be December 30th when this episode is coming out.
December 30th? Yeah, you should be able to get it.
Okay, so I could put a link to right in there. I know I'll be purchasing it right away because I was so inspired by the first 3 chapters. I'm also obviously so inspired by you. And again, thank you not only for writing The Drama-Free Way, not only for being a vessel of life, but for also just really being an aligned, in tune, and just down to earth, awesome, cool person. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Michael. It takes one to know one. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. And for all of our listeners, as always, until next time, keep inspiring. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Inspire Life podcast today. Please comment, like, and subscribe on whatever channel it is you're listening in on today. That helps us get the word out to more people to help everyone continue to lead their most aligned and thriving life. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of Jennifer's book, The Drama-Free Way, 2nd edition. You can find it in the show notes. It's the Amazon link there. And like I said, I already have had a sneak preview. I have the book coming my way, and I know that if you get it as well, you will not only enjoy it because it is a great read, but you will also find immense value for your life as well as those around you. And last but not least, please jump on over to Facebook and join the Inspired Living community. There, Dr. Mel and I share all of our health tips, tricks, and strategies to help you continue to live your most inspired and thriving life. And of course, as always, until next time, keep inspiring.